On my 29th birthday, my parents ignored me and sent my sister to Hawaii. She's the one who makes us proud. You ever have one of those moments when your chest feels hollow, not from pain, but from finally realizing you were never loved the same way? That was me on my 29th birthday. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. My name's Ava Mitchell, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the invisible daughter. The responsible one. The one who didn't cause trouble, didn't need help, didn't demand attention. My younger sister, Emma, on the other hand, was the family's shining star. Every report card, every sports medal, every breath she took, my parents celebrated it like she'd cured cancer. Still, I tried not to be bitter. I really did. I loved my family, even if I was always the afterthought. But that changed the day I opened Instagram. It was supposed to be my birthday morning. I woke up, made coffee, and waited for the usual. A happy birthday text from mom or dad. Maybe a call. Nothing. Instead, I saw a post from my mom. A big, smiling selfie of her, dad, and Emma at the airport. The caption read, "Surprising our baby girl with a trip to Hawaii. She's the one who makes us proud every single day." My hand froze over the screen. My throat went dry. They were at the airport. That day. My birthday. And as I scrolled through the comments, full of emojis and, what great parents. I saw it. Mom's own reply under someone's comment. "We're so blessed to have a daughter who brings us joy. Not everyone does." That line stung deeper than anything I'd ever heard. Not everyone does. I laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh, more like a bitter one you give when something inside you finally snaps. I wasn't angry about the Hawaii trip. Emma had always been the favorite, the golden child who could do no wrong. But that comment, that was deliberate. That was them erasing me completely, like I was nothing more than a family inconvenience. I opened my laptop. My fingers were trembling, but not from sadness. From clarity. You see, I managed all my parents' business finances. Dad's landscaping company. I'd been their free accountant for years because I majored in finance and they didn't want to waste money on outsiders. They trusted me with everything, passwords, accounts, tax documents. They even bragged about how much they saved by not hiring professionals. I logged into their business bank account, the same one I'd spent years balancing, managing, and quietly growing for them. And there it was, over $250,000 in liquid cash sitting there. I stared at it for a long moment. Then, without hesitation, I clicked withdraw. I didn't take everything. I wasn't reckless. I just took my share. The unpaid years, the forgotten birthdays, the thankless work, the emotional neglect, it had value. I'd calculated it before, in quiet moments of resentment. And the number in my head had always been the same, $75,000. I transferred it to my personal account and sat back. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Not joy. Just stillness. Then I opened my messages and typed something to Mom. "Thanks for the reminder, Mom. I'll make myself proud from now on." I didn't send it. Not yet. Because this wasn't just about taking money. This was about something much bigger. You see, revenge isn't about hurting people. It's about teaching them what they refuse to learn. And my parents were about to learn that the daughter they ignored, the one they dismissed as unremarkable, was the only one who kept their world running. That was the moment I decided to disappear, not out of sadness, but out of power. I had no interest in begging for their attention anymore. No, I was going to build a life so bright that one day they'd have to squint just to look at me. And when that day came, I'd make sure they saw what they'd lost. When you spend most of your life being invisible, you learn how to move quietly. So when I decided to walk away, no one noticed at first. While my parents were sipping cocktails in Hawaii and posting #FamilyGoals, I packed my life into 2 suitcases and left the little town of Maple Grove behind. I didn't even leave a note. I drove 3 states over to Denver, Colorado, a city where no one knew the other daughter. I rented a small 1-bedroom apartment with a mountain view and sat on the balcony that first night, watching the city lights. It was strange. For years, I'd worked behind my parents' success, managing their invoices, filing their taxes, keeping their accounts from collapsing, and yet, I never had anything that was truly mine. Now I did. And $75,000 bought more than just freedom. It bought a fresh start. I used part of the money to enroll in a digital marketing course. I'd always been good with numbers, but I wanted to be good at building something that had my name on it. Within 6 months, I got certified, landed my first remote clients, and started helping small businesses grow online. I called my company A&M Digital Strategies, a subtle nod to my own initials, Ava Mitchell, but also a silent symbol of taking back my name. Business was slow at first, but steady. I worked long nights, learned fast, and reinvested everything. By the time a full year passed since that Hawaii post, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. But I never forgot. Every birthday that came and went, I waited just a text, a call, anything. Nothing. Not from Mom. Not from Dad. Not even from Emma. They didn't even notice the missing money. Or maybe they did, and assumed it was some accounting mix-up. After all, the golden daughter was too busy traveling, and the invisible one? She was out of sight, out of mind. Then one evening, curiosity got the best of me. I went to check their company's website, the same one I had built and maintained for years. It was gone. A 404 error. Their online presence was completely wiped out. I smiled. Without me, they couldn't even keep their website running. I checked their business page on social media. Empty. No new posts in months. I clicked the comments under their last one, and my smirk widened. Customers were furious. Late responses, missed payments, unreturned calls. The perfect family business was falling apart, and they didn't even know who to blame. Still, revenge wasn't about celebrating their downfall. Not yet. It was about evolution. So I kept building. By my 30th birthday, A&M Digital had gone from a one-woman show to a 6-person agency. We worked with real estate firms, coffee brands, and local restaurants, businesses my parents used to look down on as too small. My clients loved me, my employees respected me, and for the first time in my life, I didn't crave validation from anyone. Until one day it happened. An unknown number called my business line. The name popped up on the caller ID, and my heart skipped. Dad. I didn't answer, but he left a voicemail. Ava, hey, it's your father. Listen, I know it's been a while, but we're going through a rough patch. The company's struggling, and we could use your help. You were always good with the numbers. Just call us back, okay? I replayed it twice. The same man who once said I was too quiet to be successful now needed me. I didn't call back. Instead, I opened my laptop, logged into their business credit report, and checked what I already suspected. They were drowning in debt. Unpaid invoices, late fees, declining clients. Without me, the Mitchell family landscaping empire was crumbling. And that's when an idea started to form, not from anger, but from poetic justice. What if I didn't just move on from them? What if I bought them out? I laughed at the thought, but as the months rolled by, it became less of a joke and more of a plan. My company was profitable. I had connections. And I'd spent enough time in finance to know that failing businesses sell cheap when they're desperate. All I had to do was wait. Wait for them to come crawling, not because I wanted their apology, but because I wanted them to see that the daughter they ignored was now their only way out. And deep down, I knew that day was coming. Because when people build their world on favoritism and pride, eventually it collapses, and they start looking for the one person they thought didn't matter. When life finally gives you the upper hand, it doesn't announce it. It just happens quietly, like a shift in the wind. By the time I turned 31, A&M Digital had tripled in size. We weren't just handling small accounts anymore. We were managing marketing for mid-sized construction companies, local government projects, and family-owned service businesses, companies like the one my parents used to run. One morning, as I was reviewing client proposals, my new project manager, Kelly, walked into my office holding a folder. Hey, Ava, a potential client reached out for emergency consultation. Family-owned landscaping business, been around about 20 years, but their numbers are a mess. I froze for a split second. Name? I asked, keeping my tone casual. Kelly flipped through the page. Mitchell Family Landscaping. There it was, my family's company. My parents' pride and joy. The business I'd built from behind the scenes for nearly a decade before walking away. I leaned back in my chair, heartbeat steady but eyes burning with something I hadn't felt in years, anticipation. They requested a meeting?
Yeah.
Said they're desperate to get their marketing back up. Their reputation's tanking. Sounded like a husband and wife team.
Of course it did.
I smiled slightly. Book the consultation. But don't mention me. Let's keep it formal. Kelly nodded. You got it. That Friday, I joined the Zoom call under my company's banner. My camera stayed off at first. Kelly started with the introduction, her usual professional warmth filling the air. Then, my mother's voice broke through. Thank you so much for meeting with us. We're really struggling. Our old accountant left, and our daughter, well, she's busy. We're not as tech-savvy as we used to be. I could hear the tension in her tone, the exhaustion beneath her words.
My father chimed in.
We need someone reliable. We built our business with pride, but lately, we can't seem to reach new clients. Our reviews have tanked. We're barely breaking even. Kelly said, No worries, sir. Our founder is excellent at helping family businesses like yours rebuild from scratch. She actually used to manage accounts for landscaping firms. Really? My mom said, her interest rising. What's her name? Kelly smiled. Ava Mitchell. The silence that followed was golden. My mom stuttered. I'm sorry, did you say? Kelly continued smoothly.
Yes.
Ava Mitchell. She's our CEO and lead strategist. I can transfer you to her directly if you'd like. Before they could respond, I turned on my camera.
Mom.
That. Their faces froze like statues. My mother's eyes widened, her hand covering her mouth. My father just sat there, stunned. Ava, he said slowly, as if he'd seen a ghost. I gave them a calm, professional smile. It's been a while. For a few seconds, no one spoke. Kelly, bless her soul, quickly excused herself to let the family catch up and left the call. When we were finally alone, my mother spoke first. I can't believe it's you. You look different. I should hope so, I said. It's been over 2 years. My father cleared his throat. We didn't know where you went. We thought maybe you were angry. I tilted my head. Angry?
No.
I just decided to make myself proud, remember? The line hung heavy between us. Mom's eyes dropped. I guess you saw that post, she whispered. Oh, I did, I replied. Hard to miss when the whole internet can read about who you're proud of. Dad sighed. Ava, we made mistakes, okay? But right now we're drowning. We need help keeping the business alive. We can't afford anyone else, and you thought maybe your other daughter could clean it up again? I interrupted softly. Neither of them spoke. For a moment, I thought about hanging up. I really did. But something inside me, not vengeance, but justice, wanted them to feel the weight of their choices. I'll take you on as clients, I finally said. But not as your daughter. Strictly business. My mother blinked in disbelief. You'd help us? I smiled faintly. At a price. Their eyes flicked to each other. How much? Dad asked cautiously. $50,000 up front, I said. Non-refundable. That's my rate for crisis recovery. Mom gasped. Ava, we don't have that kind of money. Then maybe you should have saved the Hawaii budget, I said. Dad rubbed his forehead. Ava, please. We can't lose everything. I leaned forward, voice steady. You already did. The silence that followed was sharper than any scream. I'll send you a contract, I said calmly. If you can meet my terms, I'll fix what I can. If not, I wish you the best. Before they could say anything, I ended the call. I sat there staring at my reflection on the black screen, my pulse steady. That had been the first time I'd seen my parents in over 2 years, and for once, I had the power. Still, a small part of me, the daughter who once wanted their love, felt something heavy sink in her chest. But I pushed it away. This wasn't about forgiveness. This was about balance. And if they signed that contract, I'd make sure their business rose again, just enough for them to realize who they had underestimated all along. When I sent my parents the contract, I didn't expect them to sign it. $50,000 was a lot of money, especially for a business already falling apart. But 3 days later, I got the notification. Deposit received. They'd wired the full amount. I stared at my screen, a strange mix of satisfaction and disbelief swirling in my chest. All those years of being overlooked, dismissed, forgotten, and now they were paying me to fix the very mess they created. I assigned the project under a pseudonym. I didn't want my employees to know the clients were my parents. To them, it was just another account, another small-town family business in trouble. But for me, this was the stage of poetic balance. When I reviewed their data, I realized just how bad things were. Their customer retention rate had dropped by over 70%. Their business email domain had expired months ago. Their social media was flooded with unanswered complaints. They weren't just losing clients, they were losing their reputation. And as much as part of me wanted to let it burn, the professional in me couldn't ignore the challenge.
So I did what I did best.
I got to work. For the next 6 weeks, I rebuilt everything from the ground up. New branding, modern website, automated systems for customer responses, targeted ad campaigns that actually brought in leads. Their online traffic doubled in a month. Reviews started improving. Calls started coming in again. And through it all, my parents, now my clients, would message my team constantly. "Please thank Ms. Mitchell for her hard work," my dad wrote once, completely unaware that he was thanking his own daughter. I could have revealed myself then. I could have told him exactly who he was talking to.
But no.
True revenge isn't loud, it's silent. Still, something about the entire situation fascinated me. The same people who once said, "You're too quiet to make a difference," were now dependent on my quiet efficiency. The irony was almost beautiful. Then came the moment that changed everything. My project manager, Kelly, walked into my office one morning, holding a printed email. "Hey, Ava, your Mitchell clients just requested a meeting. They want to thank the company in person. They're coming to Denver next week." I froze for a moment. In person? That wasn't part of the plan. But then I smiled slowly. Maybe it was time. Maybe it was time for them to see the woman they'd ignored, not as a daughter begging for approval, but as the boss they now owed everything to. The following week, they arrived. Kelly greeted them warmly at the reception desk while I watched from my glass office, unseen for a moment. My father looked older, worn down by stress. My mother still carried herself with pride, though her eyes darted nervously around the modern office, filled with confident young professionals. "Right this way," Kelly said. "Ava's waiting for you." When they stepped inside, I stood. "Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell," I said smoothly, extending my hand. "Welcome to A&M Digital." Mom hesitated before shaking my hand. "Ava." Dad's voice was low. "You've built quite a place here." "I have," I said evenly. "And I'm glad my company could help yours." They sat down and for a moment, silence filled the room. Then my mother sighed. "You really turned it around. We've been getting calls non-stop. New clients, new contracts. It's like a miracle." I nodded. "Not a miracle. Just proper management, something you used to have for free." Her eyes fell. She didn't argue. Dad cleared his throat. "We owe you a lot, Ava." I looked him straight in the eye. "You owe me nothing. You already paid for my time." "But," Mom started then stopped. "We miss you," she said finally. "Your sister, she's doing fine, but it's not the same without you." I leaned back in my chair, folding my arms. "That's interesting. Because the last time I checked, you said she was the only one who made you proud." Tears filled her eyes. "I didn't mean it like that." "But you said it," I replied. "In front of the world. And you never corrected it. Not once." Dad rubbed his temples. "We were wrong, Ava. About a lot of things. You didn't deserve how we treated you." I studied their faces. For years, I dreamed of this moment. The apology, the realization, the regret. And yet, standing there, it didn't feel satisfying. Because revenge isn't about hearing sorry. It's about them finally seeing what you've become without them. So I smiled, not cruelly but calmly. I'm glad you're realizing that, I said. Because from now on, our relationship stays professional. I'll keep your business running, but that's all. Mom's lips trembled. Ava, please.
No, interrupta sufli.
I spent half my life trying to earn your love. Now, I'm busy earning respect, my own, and from the people who never ignored me. They sat there, speechless. I stood, signaling the meeting was over. You can talk to my assistant about next month's retainer. And Mom. She looked up. Happy belated Mother's Day, I said with a faint smile. I figured you'd appreciate a gift that actually works this time. Her eyes widened in confusion as I handed her the final invoice, with a 20% discount labeled Family Loyalty Credit. The irony wasn't lost on her. A few months passed after that meeting. My parents kept up the business relationship, though our conversations were short, professional, and cold. They paid their retainer every month, never late, almost like penance. They never pushed for a personal reunion again. Maybe they realized it was too late. Or maybe they finally understood that the daughter they'd ignored had built walls no apology could climb. And honestly,
I was fine with that.
but the world has a way of circling back. Revenge isn't always loud, but its echo travels. One evening, I was wrapping up work when my assistant knocked. Someone's here to see you, she said.
No appointment.
Says she's family. My chest tightened. There was only one person who'd say that so easily. When the door opened, there she was, Emma. Still glowing, still effortlessly charming. But there was something different this time. Her eyes weren't sparkling with confidence. They were tired. Hey, big sis, she said softly. I leaned back in my chair.
Emma.
To what do I owe the honor? She sighed. Mom and Dad told me what happened. About you helping the business. About the money. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, so they do talk about me now. She looked down, guilty. Ava, I didn't know how bad it was. I didn't know they'd ignored you like that. I laughed lightly, not out of humor. You didn't know? Or you just didn't care to ask? Her face fell. That's fair. I was selfish. I was caught up in, well, everything. The trips, the attention, the praise. I didn't realize I was taking something from you, too. For the first time, her voice cracked. I thought they loved me for who I was, she continued. But lately they've been different. Distant. The business is barely holding on, and all they talk about is how much they owe you. I don't think they ever said that about me. I stayed silent. I came here, she said, because I wanted to say thank you. Not just for them, for me. You could have destroyed everything, Ava. You could have humiliated them. But you didn't. I smiled faintly. Oh, trust me. I considered it. She let out a small laugh, tears welling in her eyes. Then she said something I didn't expect. I envy you. That stopped me. What? You built something real, she said. Something they can't take credit for. I've spent my whole life trying to keep their love, and I still feel empty. You walked away, and somehow you won.
I didn't know what to say.
For years, I'd painted Emma as the villain in my story, the golden child who took everything from me. But standing there, I realized she was just a product of the same toxic cycle. They had put her on a pedestal and called it love. They'd put me in the shadows and called it discipline. Neither of us had truly been loved the way we deserved. Emma, I said softly, I don't hate you. I never did. I just hated how they made me feel because of you. She nodded, tears spilling freely now. I know. For a long moment, we just sat there in silence. The kind of silence that isn't awkward, just heavy with understanding. Finally, she wiped her eyes. So, what now? Are you ever going to go home? I smiled sadly. Home isn't a place I need anymore. I built my own. She looked around my office, at the framed certificates, the quiet hum of success, the people who respected me for who I was. Yeah, she whispered. You really did. Before she left, she hugged me. A real hug, not the forced kind you give at family gatherings, but one that said I see you now. And for the first time in years, I hugged her back. A few weeks later, I received a letter in the mail. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting instantly. Mom's. Inside was a short note and a small family photo. Ava, we're proud of you. Truly. Not because of what you've done for us, but because of what you did for yourself. We can't undo the past, but we hope someday you'll let us try to know you again. Love, Mom and Dad. I stared at it for a long time before setting it aside. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just felt free. Revenge hadn't brought me destruction or chaos. It had brought me peace. Not because I hurt them, but because I stopped letting their love define my worth. I didn't need their validation anymore. I had something better. Self-respect, independence, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing that sometimes the best revenge isn't payback, it's evolution. That night, as I stood on my balcony overlooking the Denver skyline, my phone buzzed with a reminder. Birthday tomorrow. For the first time in my life, I didn't dread it. I poured a glass of wine, smiled at the city lights, and whispered to myself, "Happy birthday, Ava. You finally made yourself proud." And this time I meant it. Sometimes, revenge isn't about getting even, it's about getting better. Ava didn't destroy her family. She simply built a life they could never take credit for. Remember, the loudest payback is peace, and the best revenge is finally becoming someone who no longer needs their approval.